Okay, folks, here we are.
We're back.
And let me just get Bill all lined up here.
Lined up, as in lined up.
As in.
Oh, sorry. I didn't turn my camera on.
Yeah.
Hi.
You're incognito. Hi.
Hello, and hello to you folks at home. Welcome to Fright Lounge, the show in which the best horrorologists in town will get the conversation going for the seasoned horror viewer as well as newbies to the horror genre. I am Rigor from the podcast Then Is Now, The East Meets the West, and the Cult Movie Lounge. And to this side is Bill.
Hi. I'm Bill Van Ryn from Fanzine Drive-In Asylum.
Excellent. And we've also got, of course, Michael joining us. Welcome, Michael.
Hello.
And the Prince Regent of electronic dance music, Dantes Alexander. Welcome, Dantes.
Hello, my fair subjects. I am so happy once more to be on this fabulous fucking horror show.
I love that accent.
Hi, thank you, Bill.
All right. So, Dantes, you got a new album out.
Yeah. So our secret is finally out. I don't know if you folks out there have had a chance to listen to the new project. I don't know if Bill or Michael have, but man, Rigor really brought so much consistency to the project. Very Wolfman Jack. So yeah, I'm excited. It's out.
Awesome. Well, I thank you. I'm very humbled by it. I was proud to be part of it.
That wasn't really you, was it?
Yeah, I did the voices in between in his songs. And we'll play a clip of that in a second. I just want to tell the folks at home we were live on Twitter the last couple of months, and now Twitter wants you to pay for your, being a member if you want to go live on there. So
I feel like we're in the middle of witnessing the death of social media. Like everybody feels like you have to pay to, and I suppose their argument would be, well, you guys could do three-way calls. So
it's going to go too far one of these days.
It is.
So folks at home, if you could like and subscribe us on YouTube, and I see the live feed is going on here on YouTube. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to click also on our live feed on the Fright Lounge Facebook page, just to make sure that's going. I don't know if you have it up, Bill, or not.
Yeah, I am totally useless this week. I'm so sorry. I was late signing on. I've been like totally out of the loop. I've had so much going on.
Oh my
I'm
God.
sorry.
Yeah. Don't worry. No worries. All right. Close. I don't need to know about chats. All right, there we go. So thank you for joining us, folks. And Bill, while we've got you, why don't you tell the folks at home where they can find you online?
You can purchase my print fanzine at groovydoom.etsy.com. And every Saturday night, I also have another live stream show. It's called the Drive-In Asylum Double Feature. And you can find that streaming on the Groovy Doom YouTube channel. Please subscribe because they're really pushy about that at YouTube. You have to have so many subscribers or else you're nobody.
Right. You're nobody till somebody.
I am nobody, but I would like to pretend to be somebody. So go like my YouTube channel.
All right, and Dantes, why don't you tell the folks where they can find you, and then we play, introduce your music and play a clip or whatever you want to play.
I can be found at facebook.com/Dantes Alexander me or instagram.com/Dantes Alexander. I love all my fair subjects. Here. You can't see my hand waving, but long live the dance. And now I shall introduce my fair songs. And see, I'm sorry, I feel like I'm like on like such a goofball high this week because there's just been like a million things going on. Like at the beginning of the week, I had like some cable TV appearances and all of that stuff. So I'm sort of jet lagged.
Nice.
Cool.
Okay, so now I'm going to share my screen here with everybody. Take attention to Spotify here. We're just going to do a quick play of Rigor's interlude and one of my songs real quick here. Sorry.
for me. Drop it off at your
All right, you're listening to KTFC, Rhythm's home for electronic dance music. We're playing the full album from the Prince Regent of EDM himself, Dantes Alexander. Up first is a tune to mellow you out, so get ready to do some waiting.
Oh, and then we'll play Faith. Just a snippet of this here.
Well, I guess it would be nice if I could touch your body. I know not everybody has got a body like you. Ooh, but I gotta think twice before I give my heart away. And I know all the games you play because I play them too. Oh, but I need some time off from that emotion. Time to pick my heart up off the floor. Oh, when that love comes in with a devotion. Well, it takes a strong man, baby, but I've shown you the door. Cause I gotta have faith.
Yay! Just a
Right
snippet.
on.
Just a snippet.
Awesome. So, folks, you got to check it out. You gotta get onto Spotify. Are you only on Spotify? Are you on other
Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal. Yeah. And go listen on Tidal and Apple Music. Lossless, Hi-Fi, Max. I love Spotify too. It's just, yeah.
Excellent.
You're so husky on that track, Dantes.
Why, thank you. There's a lot of cool stuff on the album. I got to experiment with a lot of different sound textures. So we have, we got like a disco rap song, Brand New Campaign, which is like like one of my favorites. And I have what do I have on there? I have Rolling in the Deep, which is an Adele record, Faith. It's a good record. It's one of my best, I think. And yeah, I hope everyone enjoys it.
Do you do the production?
So it's a cross collaborative process. There's never one person who does anything. If you ever look at the person's album and it just says Beyonce, she's lying.
I always suspected.
Or like case in point, Michael Jackson, before he unfortunately passed away, when you looked at all of his records, it would say written, arranged, and produced by Michael Jackson. And we all know that was not true. If you go look at, places like Spotify or Apple, you can see that, it was performed by a symphony of people. And, whenever you work on a project like this, there's literally people from all over the world that are, participating. We have people from Ukraine, we have folks from here, from Chicago, we have, people from Thailand. I vocal arranged, did some piano playing, send stuff out. So it's a, cross collaborative process.
Nice.
Wow, I didn't know it was so far reaching.
Well, when you're Prince Regent of EDM and you got a Chicago Music Award nomination, your powers are far and wide.
Excellent.
Oh my God. Well,
and I got Rigor. I mean, I got to give him again a big round of applause for it. I mean, my God, like he really keeps the tempo of the project. I mean, he went all out with his radio hosting duties. I mean, he really keeps everything up to pace.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. All right, folks. So today we are going to discuss 4 horror films that have what the fuck endings to them. We've got Dead and Buried from 1981, Lake Placid from 1999, No One Will Save You from 2023, and Malignant from 2021. So let's get right into it. We're going to discuss Dead and Buried from 81. And of course, the synopsis is
kind of crazy.
Put it in the thing. So hold on, I'll get that in a second. It was
and this was Bill's suggestion, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Bill. Oh, what a mind fuck you gave us.
Oh. All right. So
well, thank you.
Is short here on IMDb. It basically says Sheriff Dan Gillis investigates eerie deaths in a sleepy coastal town. I suppose that's a good way of not giving anything away.
Yeah.
So first impressions, Bill, since this was your pick, when did you first see this and what was your first impression?
I saw this on HBO. I think this movie came out in 1981, so it would have been in 1982 because HBO usually got a theatrical release a year later. And I've been, I was a big fan of Famous Monsters magazine and Fangoria, especially. And Fangoria had been talking this movie up for months and months, and they had a really super gory cover on a feature on it. Just really like I remember they had the acid face moment. The guy's face that got burned by acid. That was like really super gory full color and got me in trouble with the teacher when I took that magazine into school. So I guess I was like 12 years old when I first saw this movie. It blew my mind.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Well,
Dantes, what about you? Is this the first time viewing for you?
This was the first time that I saw it, and I have to say that I totally was fucked. Like totally fucked all the way through the film. Like it took me a while to catch on. I wonder like if the people in the audience, like at the theater when this, originally aired, took as long to catch on as I did. Like, because by the end of it, I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, are you serious? Like, but
hence the theme of the week. What the fuck?
yeah, like I really thoroughly, honestly enjoyed it. Without giving too much away since we're so early into it. But it sort of reminded me at a half-hearted attempt at the Twilight Zone episode, perhaps like a Twilight Zone episode.
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, like it was, and then I realized that maybe they were trying not to give a fuck, which is when I said brilliant. But first time.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Michael.
yeah, this was my first time watching it as well. And yeah, it was creepy as hell, and I definitely said what the fuck when I got to the end. So yeah, I was like, okay, I can see why he picked this.
I first saw this probably about a year ago, and this was one of those movies that I used to see in the video store all the time. I remember that cover is, burned into my head, and for some reason I just never got around to watching it. I don't know why, but yeah, I really loved it, and I had forgotten what I had seen the first time a year or so ago. So watching it again, I was taken again by the twist. I totally forgot what the twist was, and I loved it. I thought it was great.
Really good.
I mean, we're talking about the twist, right? I mean, we're not going to try and keep it a secret, or are we?
We'll definitely talk about it. It was directed by Gary Sherman, who also did Poltergeist 3. He directed some episodes of the TV show Poltergeist 3.
Damn, wait, I'm sorry. He did Poltergeist 3, and that is like one of the most like hated of like the
Yeah.
the like, the movies. But this movie was actually like really like what the fuck, but it was entertaining. It wasn't as bad
Yeah.
as that. I'm sort of confused, but okay. All right.
Well, Poltergeist 3 was a troubled production. That was so was this movie, but Poltergeist 3 was somebody else's movie. That wasn't Gary Sherman's movie. They just brought him in to take over when somebody else gave up on it.
Okay.
Makes sense. Sort of he got drafted into it basically,
Oh, no.
and he agreed to do it because he was like, it was a big budget movie. So of course I said I would do it. But there was also, he made a movie called Vice Squad in 1982. It was after this one. A great, like, really super sleazy movie with Wings Hauser as a vicious pimp named Ramrod.
Ramrod, I love that movie.
Definitely, you have to look that one up. It is amazing. And also, an earlier film in 72 he made, it's called Deathline. It was released in the United States as Raw Meat.
Oh, yeah.
And that was about a cave-in that had isolated this group of people in the London subway, and they became cannibalistic and to survive. And years later, they finally dig out. There's like a way they can get out, and there's one left. And he's killing people for food in the London subway. It's good.
Raw meat, indeed. Okay.
They became cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers.
You chud.
This movie starred James Ferrantino as Sheriff Dan Gillis, and he was just in tons of TV shows. I remember him from the movie The Final Countdown. not the song, the movie. And a bunch of other stuff. But
I was just about to bust out into the song. And
Thanks for that earworm.
Shut that down. Not the song, the movie.
every time I saw it, I was like, oh man, it kept running through my head. And I'm like, no, get out of my head.
Thanks, Record.
Yeah, you can't really avoid that.
He's one of those actors that I always thought he was bigger than he was, like more popular than he was. It was just like James Farentino was a recognizable name back in the day, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'd seen him in a lot of stuff. I mean, at the time, and I was only 12, so he did a lot of TV, like you said. That's how I knew him. There was another movie he was in though, that not the Final Countdown. It was something else that I realized it later after I knew him through Dead and Buried. I'm like, oh, he was in this other movie too. The cast is just stellar in this. Another person who was big in TV was Jack Albertson.
yes, yep. He was. Of course, he was Grandpa George in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh,
Grandpa
wow.
Joe.
Thought he looked familiar.
Grandpa Joe, I'm sorry. And he was the man in Chico and the Man.
Chico and the Man.
Yeah. I thought he looked kind of familiar. Okay, cool.
So I'm just jumping back to James Farentino for a second.
Sorry, I didn't mean
also
to.
in Bulletproof, which I think that was a kung fu movie, wasn't that? What's his name? The famous kung fu director,
John Woo.
John Woo. Yeah, in 1996. And what else? He was in Termination Man, which I've never heard of.
I've never heard of that either. It sounds like a
Man.
knockoff of Demolition Man.
Yeah.
What could they have been thinking of when they titled that movie?
Yeah.
I'm just looking at his movies and nothing's jumping out of me. I don't want to read his whole thing, but if you think of it, Bill, let us know.
Oh, I gave up on it.
Oh, you gave up on it?
I already jumped ahead to Jack Albertson. So
the actress who played the nurse that put the needle in the eye. I've seen her in so many other things, and I love her, but I don't know her name.
His wife, the one who plays his wife.
Yeah.
No, the one who plays the blonde nurse.
Oh,
who sticks a needle in his eye?
Needle in the guy's eye.
Yeah,
she's the girl who lures them all to their deaths. Like she's the girl that lures the photographer into taking pictures. How about him? There's who else is in this? Freddy Krueger is in this movie.
Yeah,
Robert Englund. That's right.
Yeah, and of course the chick who plays his wife is the always hot Melody Anderson. She was a TV darling in the 80s. She played Dale Arden in the Flash Gordon movie.
Oh my God. I just watched part of that the other night.
I
realized how similar she was. Yeah, that's the same person.
Limited edition version of not super limited, but it was like reissued. It came in like a tin can, and I have it. I'm so excited.
Really?
Yes, it came in a tin can. I'm so proud of it.
That's awesome.
Okay, sorry.
That movie is so great.
She was also on Manimal, if anyone remembers the show Manimal.
Oh, Manimal,
I do remember that.
Yeah.
I've never
She was on tons of TV shows. You're right, Roger. She was a TV darling.
Yeah. And the one I remembered her from, even though I wasn't allowed to watch it, she was in the Policewoman Centerfold, which was a TV movie about a cop that became a centerfold.
That's scandalous.
Wow, okay. That is very scandalous.
I think I saw her on an episode of Fantasy Island, too.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I think she was on that.
The blonde nurse was Lisa Blunt, by the way, and she was in An Officer and a Gentleman.
Oh, Lisa Blunt. Okay.
Year. Or immediately after, rather.
I thought she looks a lot like this. Anyway, yeah, okay. I thought she was somebody else who looks a lot like her, but I guess whose name I can't remember. But
so, Bill, can you tell us a little bit more about the background of this movie?
Well, it was originally conceived. This was written by Dan O'Bannon and Ronald Shusett, who wrote Alien. And this was sort of like Dan O'Bannon had a kind of a specious attachment to this film. It was like he didn't like to talk about it, and he didn't like to claim it as one of his own. So he probably sort of like bowed out a little bit early in the production. And it was originally conceived as a comedy, and it was supposed to have comedic overtones. And you can really tell sometimes there are little glimmers of it that still exist in the film, but it changed direction after um, there were so many gory horror films that were really popular at the time, because this was 1981. I mean, that was like the glut of slashers was in
Yeah.
1981. All the post Friday the 13th success, and Dead and Buried was sort of like steered at the last minute in that direction, and they added the gory murders. Like there weren't really, not the extent of what we see in the movie. A lot of that was reshot, and Stan Winston did the special effects for this.
Winston so much.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Oh.
Just amazing stuff. The guy, the scene with the eyeball, the needle in the eyeball, that guy in the bed is a puppet.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah, it's totally not a human being, because he was supposed to have been hideously burned, and there's not much left to him, and he's like really super thin and everything. It's a puppet, so that like whenever she sticks the needle in there, like it just sort of like, she didn't have to worry about killing the actor sticking the needle. And it's so effective though. And I think that probably the thing that doesn't work. Oh, hi. Oh, sorry, I'm holding onto the car keys. The thing that doesn't work in the movie, sorry about that, is the scene where they kill Doc. I already mentioned the acid scene.
Yeah,
that really is the worst murder in the movie. It's totally unrealistic, and it's just kind of stupid, if you ask me. Like the reaction of the victim and everything is totally unrealistic. But that character was supposed to have already been dead, and he was one of the townspeople, and that was another thing that they did at the last minute to up the gore factor in this movie. And they hired somebody else to do that effect. And they told them, I can't remember the special effects technician who did that one, but they hired them and they said, okay, we want you to build a head that's going to dissolve in one long unbroken take. It has to look like a human being, and then the head dissolves. So they were like, okay, we'll do the best that we could, and they weren't going to cut away from it. So at the last minute, like the way they shot it, the director ended up cutting away, and the special effects guys were pissed. They were like, that could have looked so much better if you would have told us that you were going to cut away. We could have done like 2 or 3 heads, So that's kind of like a casualty in one regard. The movie is a casualty of all the gore in the early 80s, because they sort of just like forced it in there. But personally, I love the gory stuff in this movie. It's really shocking. Much of it is very disturbing, and it's unique. And it's Dead and Buried's little thing that it does. It's really,
I thought the
really
whole
gory.
movie was disturbing. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, the story is disturbing too.
My God, could you imagine like going into the hospital and dying, and then not knowing that your ass has been like reanimated and you're out here that's like one of the most taboo, and people are so afraid of voodoo, so watching this movie, realistically, yes, that I could see it happening, but it's very disturbing, because you just don't expect, the fucking, mortician,
what he's into.
Yeah, my God, it's Jesus,
No.
God, just shoot me now.
And then bring me back.
Yeah. Doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a question. I wanted to go through the plot just a little bit. I'm gonna write this down so I don't forget it. Because I didn't want to I don't want to forget that. But one thing I did want to say too is that Gene Siskel basically called this a hideously gruesome thriller, and he labeled it as one of his dogs of the week or his dog of the week.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't
Wow.
like it. He and Roger both passed on Dead and Buried.
Yeah.
It don't surprise me though. I mean,
Yeah.
so like, oh, we love Disney. Hakuna Matata.
Yeah.
Hakuna Matata. Kumbaya, Hakuna Matata.
Yeah, you know, like
Oh, man.
5 thumbs up for this family film, but 1 star for the lovely gory film that we secretly love, but don't want to tell everybody that we do.
Right. Bill,
What are
did
the
this have
creepy-
other titles? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Did this have other titles, Bill?
It had one other title, and it's really bizarre. It's not the kind of movie.
What was the other title, Bill?
The other title is called Look Alive,
Okay.
and it was
Ah,
only marketed under that title. That was sort of like a test title, I guess. There are certain movies. Sometimes the studio or the distributor doesn't know what title they want to use for the
Yeah.
movie, and they'll do a test market in like 1 or 2 cities under a title and see how many people go see it under that title. That
That's
one
pretty
didn't work
smart,
very well.
though.
I like that title.
It is. That's pretty
Look
slick.
Alive.
And it kind of almost gives away the end without giving it away because you can't.
Right.
Yeah.
title, you can't figure it out, you know?
You
The
look
tagline-
alive, but you're not alive.
Not
Yeah.
The
alive,
tagline of the ad campaign said, "Some people are dead and they don't know it," which totally
gives it
is
away.
the ending.
Damn.
That
Yeah.
blew
Oh my
that-
God.
Who was in charge of that marketing campaign? Big fly.
No,
You're
really.
fired.
Somebody from 2024 that traveled back in time, and they're like, "Oh, yeah,
Oh,
this is how we market movies in the future."
One of the creepiest things about this movie was I thought the people taking pictures like would swarm
Yeah.
around when somebody was getting like beaten to death or something, and they would just
Yeah.
like come out of the woodwork and start
I
taking
thought
photos.
that was like more or less like social commentary about like how like everybody is like as a well, I don't know about an 80, but shit now you can get hit over the fucking head, walking down the street and everybody will take their phones out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I thought it was like saying like, we're so self-consumed. And I guess even still back then, even in the 80s, like we still had a lot of shit that, self-consuming shit that we had. Like even though tech is different, between now and then, it still pretty much is the fucking same. And I think that's what they were saying.
It could be. I saw a funny cartoon recently where it said the end of the world, and there's all this fire raining down from the heavens, and there's a sea of people, and all you can see are their hands holding up phones, taking picture video of it.
We're gonna die. Pull out your phone.
So you got this town here where it starts off with his photographers there, and then they beat him to death, and they set him on fire, and then he's the guy that gets killed with the thing. Which, by the way, the needle in the eye, I had no idea there was a fake head. I thought it was some kind of a contact lens with the needle on. I'm like, how did they do that without it like weighing down, just falling out of the guy's eye?
Yeah. It
The
was
magic of Stan Winston.
Yeah.
It was not a human being.
But then the guy shows up later, and what was he like? Was he the gas station guy? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think he worked at the gas station.
Yeah.
In his new life.
And so that was weird because then you're like, and then it's funny too, because sometimes with some of the older actors, even with modern actors, I have a hard time when I first see them telling them apart from other actors. Like I might not be able to pick them out of a crowd.
Yeah.
So like the first time I watched this, I was like, wait a minute, is that the same guy or not? I couldn't remember.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I was like, wait, that's the guy? Isn't that the guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the scene with him getting set on fire was horrible.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
just this poor bastard has no idea what's happening to him.
That might have been what, the critics, were referring to. Like that was a pretty hard scene to watch. So I can see why they would be like, oh, we can't. It's just so much for us. I don't think you should let your. Of course, we know we're not going to let our kids watch this, but
Unless you're Roger's parents.
Yeah, that's right.
I was 12.
I'm
yeah.
surprised. I'm surprised we didn't go see this one.
oh, that's funny.
And then what was it? The dude gets hit by the police car and his arm is on the grill and he grabs it and runs.
I laughed so hard when I saw that. Oh God, I really did. And I know it wasn't supposed to be funny. I just love the camp factor of it all. Like, oh, there's an
I don't
argument.
know if you guys noticed, but Gary Sherman deliberately avoided the color red for almost everything in the movie is another color other than red, so that when there's blood, it's really shocking.
Oh,
You haven't
Ah.
seen very much
I
red in
did
this
notice
movie.
that. I thought that was kind of strange. I thought that was like part of the plot.
It looks kind of drained, like the
Yeah.
color palette.
The redless town.
and there was a lot of fog in it too, and it reminded me, not necessarily fog, it would just seem foggy looking. And it
Yeah.
reminded me of, what was the anthology film we did where one of the stories, oh, maybe it was Monster Club. Yeah, where the dude's scouting out locations
Yeah.
and the townspeople were like zombies or
The
whatever. And
Ghoul Town.
it had the same atmosphere, I thought, as that short.
So, I don't know.
Um, so yeah, so you've got, corpses that are reanimated and people who are supposed to be dead. I thought for sure the whole Melody Anderson teaching witchcraft to the kids in the school was a red herring. I was like, oh, it's too obvious,
Yeah. Like, oh God, we know where this is going. Yeah.
For Melody Anderson, I think she has the best scene in the entire movie. It's still really affecting every time I see it. And I'm talking about the scene where she realizes she's dead.
Yeah.
It's really disturbing because she's all she wants to do is talk about what they're gonna have for dinner, and he shoots her a couple of times,
Yeah.
and she keeps
Yeah.
getting worse and worse, and she's like still going on, and then she just kind of like realizes it. She's like, I'm dead, Dan.
But
And it,
but that's why I said it reminded me a little bit of that episode from the Twilight Zone where that gal didn't realize she was a mannequin. You remember
yeah.
that
Yes.
episode?
And she
And
was
she
only
kept
on
going,
vacation.
yeah,
Yeah.
and like that's what it reminded me of. And I thought that it was intentionally done, or like that. I love it. Still
Yeah.
kind of what the fuck, but I mean, but I appreciate the attention to like um the fine details of hmm. Sorry guys, my brain's on vacation tonight.
It's all good. Don't
with,
worry.
with the mannequin lady.
It is with the mannequin lady.
She's on vacation.
I after I watched the movie, I watched a couple of videos on YouTube about it, which I did with the other movies too, just to see what else was being said about it. And then one of the things said that the main sheriff character there, through the whole movie, he's kind of like scratching his hands in different scenes. Like it's just a really subtle thing that the actor put in to have him. And then at the end, he's like looking at his hands, like his hands are kind of like peeling, and
Yeah.
so I don't know. Apparently that was like supposed to be like a little subtle, thing in there that
Detail. Yeah.
And you gotta wonder, how long was he like this? Because how do you not know? Like, how do you not accidentally get a cut doing something and it
Right.
would all weird and shit,
Yeah.
Well, Dobbs said in the movie, he was like, the dead they don't have any memories, only what I give them. So that's another part of the movie that I always think about. I'm like, these were sentient beings on some level, because he just, or were they just like robots that he was programming, or did they, because they actually had these memories and they believed in their identities, which was really disturbing because everything, presumably they had memories all the way back to their childhood, but it was just stuff that Dobbs had given them, like somehow he implanted these memories.
Right. And for folks at home, if you haven't seen this, Dobbs is the mortician played by Jack Albertson that we talked about. And he apparently, he worked in like Providence or something as a mortician then, or a pathologist, and he was doing like unauthorized experiments with the dead.
Right. He
Which
got
leads,
fired.
yeah, which leads to the question I had. So he was bringing all these people back, and then there's one point towards the end when it's revealed that he's the one behind all this, and he's like, and the sheriff's pointing the gun at him. He's like, I want you to kill me. He's like, I want to come back. Am I mistaken? Like, did he? Because then he gets shot, but then he does come back.
He did it to himself. Yeah, somehow.
Okay. But did they explain like how, like, Was it just in the air? Like if you die there, you come back to life, or
No, it had something to do with whatever. It was something that he did because he
okay,
had that machine, like, to drain all your bodily fluids out and replace it with embalming fluids.
oh
So
right,
like that had to happen. He stuck the
right,
trocar thing into himself.
yeah, okay,
Maybe there was somebody else around who knew how to did, assisted him or something and knew how to do it.
Hmm.
The
But
other
wasn't
dead
that a
people,
cool
Data
line?
says.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, they must have, right?
Hmm.
yeah,
Um, I was gonna say, what was that line when the cop is pointing the gun at him and he says, "You can't kill me, you can only make me dead."
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like, well, that's interesting. It's
What
an
the
interesting
fuck?
way to put it. Yeah.
So the big twist, of course, folks, and spoiler alert, if you haven't seen this movie already, it's only been out for what, 40 years?
Yeah.
um he, James Ferrantino's character turns out to be one of these people, as we kind of mentioned, and that was the big
Dead.
twist. And that, yeah, that got me. Even this time around, I had forgotten that fact, and I was like, oh fuck, because I was thinking, how's he gonna get out of there? He's the whole town is taken over. He's got to get out of there. It was like,
Yeah, yeah.
he was one of them all along.
And when he sees that video of himself, getting stabbed by his wife and like dying, and I was like, that by itself, he just was shocking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Can you imagine seeing a video of yourself being killed? What the hell?
All right. So, final thoughts on Dead and Buried from 1981, Bill.
I like to think about this movie all the time. It takes place in a shared universe with other movies where townspeople go crazy. Sam says this all the time, Sam Panico, like that this Potter's Bluff is right down the coast from Point Dune from Messiah of Evil. And all these like crazy little town or like the Fog, Antonio Bay. There's these little isolated communities where things go wrong. So this is just, Potter's Bluff's little problem, these zombies. I really dig it. I like to think about this movie and about, like we did earlier, like who is Dobbs and why is he doing this and how is he doing this? There are a lot of questions that you come away with, but they're good questions.
Right, right. Dantes.
I enjoyed it. I thought this was pretty cool. There are a lot of films that explore voodoo and zombies and all of those things, but not to this degree where you have like a medical professional like getting involved and being all weird and shit. So this is definitely a good favorite of mine. Like Bill said, sort of in that shared universe of isolated spaces. Again with the Twilight Zone references because I think of another episode that this reminds me of, but definitely a good watch and I would watch it again.
Nice, nice. Michael.
Yeah, I would watch it again too. I think with a lot of these movies where the ending is like fucked up, it's like you have to sort of go
Yeah.
back and watch it again at some point. Or no, you don't have to, but I mean, now once you know like what you missed the first time around, you're like, oh, I gotta go back and watch that again and see what the heck did I not catch. But yeah, I
Mhm.
thought it was good. It was good. It was scary, and the twist at the end got me, like, just like it did you, Raj. And yeah, I would watch it again.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. This is a late night scary movie to watch, when with your popcorn and the blankets and everything, snuggled up. I highly recommend it. It's got multiple twists, or at least two major
Yeah.
twists, three if you count the Melody Anderson thing. I think it's just very well written and well crafted overall. I mean, visually it was beautiful. It was nice to look at. So I highly recommend that. And one of our fans on the Facebook page, Paul, thank you for commenting, Paul. He mentioned Messiah of Evil. He also mentioned After Hours, and I'm not sure, is that the Griffin Dunn movie?
Yeah.
Okay. And how is that? What is that? I don't think I've seen that one.
After Hours is just kind of like an Odyssey film. It's Griffin Dunn stars in it, and it's just like one crazy night in his life.
Oh, okay. Okay. And he also
It's
said
not a horror movie.
he goes, it was right next to the fizzy lifting bubble machine.
Yeah.
Fizzy lifting drinks. Oh, After Hours is the Twilight Zone episode
Oh,
with the
okay.
mannequins.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know where you were going with that, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. Awesome. All right, so next up, we are going to discuss Lake Placid from 1999. And again, I didn't put the synopsis in. I don't know why. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Just waiting for it to load here real quick. And
Big alligator.
four people attempt to stop a giant crocodile who's terrorizing
Crocodile.
residents in Black Lake, Maine, which I thought was cool. My grandson was watching it with us, and he's like, "This is Maine." I'm like, "Yep." He's like, "Is this real?" I'm like, "No, it's not real."
A true story.
It's a movie.
Oh my God, no, you didn't. I totally would have like peed in my pants. Thanks, Unc.
So
It
Dantes,
could
this was your pick. The question I have for you, well, first, obviously, when did you first see this? What was your first impression, and what did you think was the what the fuck twist in this movie? Because it doesn't quite have the same level of what the fuck as the others, but it still has one.
Well, I saw this movie when I was like 13, like when it first came out. And I didn't really appreciate the gravitas of Miss Betty White until I got older, because for me, she really made that movie like so like I mean, she brought the lightness of like the whole situation. Um, you know, um and I always enjoyed this film because we always think about, horror being, someone being killed or like some supernatural shit, but we often forget that we're, this small, like a blip, on the earth, and that there are these big creatures out there, who can, just, eat us up and swallow us up whenever they want. And I think real life and nature is more scarier than anything, that a writer can produce. So that was the reason why I picked it.
Nice. Michael, when did you first see this?
I think I saw it in the theater when it first came out. I love monster movies. This is my favorite genre, is just monster movies. This big, scary, nasty thing killing people, and we have to survive and try to kill it. Like that's my vibe. That's
Yeah,
my
I'm with you there,
favorite thing.
Mike. Totally,
So,
totally.
yeah.
I saw it in the movies too. We must have seen it together.
We probably saw it together. more than likely. Yeah.
'Cause even walking into it, I just remembered from the trailer Betty White going, "I hope the crocodile eats your friend's whole."
Yeah.
And that's what made it so great, because she was being really fucking serious, but it was so sweet.
Yeah.
It's like, I knew you were all cocksuckers. Phil, when did you first see this?
I saw it theatrically. I was sitting right next to you guys. You didn't see me.
Oh,
We didn't see
you're
you.
the
We
one
didn't know you
laughing.
at the time.
Oh,
Oh, you were that guy in the back with the cigar. Okay.
Yes.
oh gosh, that's funny.
Now you're stuck with me. Yeah, I saw it theatrically, and it was it was right around the time I started to get really cynical about horror movies, like modern horror movies. That was, the late 90s. There was a certain like element of, cinema is constantly evolving no matter what the genre is. So, it's just that I got old, really. I started to lose touch. Like suddenly the movies weren't made for me anymore. And I'm still pissed. But Lake Placid I liked. I really had a good time at Lake Placid. It was fun. It was funny, and I love Betty White.
Wasn't she great?
She was awesome in this.
Always.
The funny is, she
stellar.
was only in like 4 scenes, but everybody, like, you can't talk about the movie without talking about her. She was great.
Yeah, she's
But
the
you
first
know
thing you
what?
remember.
Also, too, like I think an episode of The Simpsons, it might have been a Treehouse of Horror episode, and they were really dumping on Bill Pullman, and they go, "Hi, I'm forgettable actor Bill Pullman, and you might remember me from such classics as Lake Placid and Independence Day."
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
He's a little bit forgettable, but he's done some good stuff.
Serpent in the Rainbow, Independence Day.
I liked Serpent in the Rainbow,
I've seen
actually.
him in it, but he was in. Oh no, he wasn't. Never mind.
He played a child killer in the 4th season of Torchwood.
Oh really?
Yeah. So, and of course, the film was directed by
Hmm.
Steve Miner, who I remember from having directed Friday the 13th Part 2, one of my favorites.
It's one of
And
mine.
he also did House and Warlock, and he even did the Halloween 20
H20.
years later, H2O. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 20. That was pretty good. I liked it.
So
I love H20.
yeah,
Like
that's a
that
good
Is
one.
it H20 or H2O?
I always said H2O.
Yeah.
I don't know why
Wasn't
it
that
would be.
how like their marketing campaign though was too? Wasn't it, Bill? It was like
Oh.
H2O, right?
I don't know. It just I was like, why would it be Halloween water? It was 20 years.
A good point.
The significant part was that it had been 20 years since Halloween.
funny.
So here we were. It was H20.
Oh, 20 years since. Oh,
20
okay.
years
I got
later.
it.
True.
That's funny.
That
I've
is the
always
actual
remembered
title of the
20.
movie is Halloween 20 years later.
Yeah.
Oh, it is? And then people started calling it H2O. H20.
like
Look,
an-
I've been saying H2O for the last damn 20 years.
So
I
have
know.
I. I just thought I never thought about the 20 years thing. I just thought they were trying to be clever with the title or something.
24
Right, same here.
Halloween water.
Yeah.
That's funny. I didn't think about it like that, but he's right.
Hall and Oates Halloween H2O.
Hall and Oates Halloween. He's a man eater.
Oh my god! And then in Haddonfield, they legalize marijuana. It becomes Halloween H420.
Right.
That I'm waiting for.
I don't think he'll be able to do much stabbing on H420. I mean,
That's
I
what
did-
fixed Michael Myers.
Right? Yeah. He would have been like too high to kill anyone.
You're like, you know what? This is bullshit. This stabbing people and like putting on masks. What the
oh,
fuck am I
right? You know, he's
doing?
like, what the
Too-
fuck, man? I've
too
been
much
curing
work.
this shit for
Running
40
from the man
years.
all the time.
Ah.
Yeah, running from the man all the time.
In my notes for these 4 films, I didn't really look at the writers, although this one caught my eye. It was David E. Kelly wrote this, and he's famous for creating L.A. Law and The
Yeah.
Practice and Ally McBeal and just like a shit ton of popular
TV series.
TV shows.
Which is
Yeah.
which is funny that you say that, because now that I think about it, it didn't like as a kid it came across as like just a great horror movie, but mentioning it comes across more or less like a great horror made for TV movie.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Except for the gore, the
Yeah.
gore I think is what set it apart. And it was funny because before we watched the movie, I said to my wife, I'm like, yeah, we gotta watch Lake Placid for the show. I'm like, don't worry, Aiden will enjoy it. And then the first thing that happens is the guy gets bitten in half.
No.
He just
Oh
looked
my
at me. I'm
God,
like, my
no.
parents would have let me watch this.
No,
Yeah.
you're right. That shit was like, oh my God, I forgot about that part. It's really bad too, because like I remember like my spouse was cooking, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, you're gonna miss the movie, honey. Like, turn around and making sausages and shit. That's like what we were making, and turn around and like his fucking guts are like on the boat, and she's like, I don't think I want any more Polishes.
Yeah,
Ah!
And
does
then,
kind of kill the appetite.
Yeah, just a little bit.
excuse me. And of course, we've got Bridget Fonda in this, which haven't seen much of her lately, I don't think. But
Yeah, I haven't either.
She
famously
retired or
the
what?
daughter of Henry Fonda, classic
Mm.
actor, and brother to Peter Fonda. She was in Single White Female and Point of No Return, which was the American remake of La Femme Nikita.
Mhm.
Yeah.
She was great in this, I thought. I'm surprised that I don't think she's still working, or I have to
I don't think so either.
Well, you got to go out on top and have.
Maybe she's got the family or something that she's.
Got to go out on top, guys. You have to have eternal, unchanged beauty.
There
No
you
one
go.
wants
Yeah.
to see an old lady. I mean, my God, guys. come on.
Yeah.
Oh, you could do like a modern day Dorian Gray, but instead of a portrait, it's a movie. That would be kind of cool.
Ah.
I'm sure she did
And
an episode
actually,
of
I
Law
think I
and
did
Order.
just see, like, I saw some photos actually of her not too long ago. I think it was like some Guardian photos, and they were like, retired actress, Bridget Fonda steps out to go to 7-Eleven. And
Ooh,
I
I've been
think-
waiting for that for years.
Oh, there she is. Oh my God. She's a human being.
I think she was in a soap opera. She was like in All My Children for quite a few years, if I'm not mistaken. Then we've also got in this movie is Brendan Gleeson, who plays Sheriff Hank.
I thought he was like the star of
I liked
this
him.
whole show. Like
Did any
Yeah.
of you guys recognize his voice, or even recognize him?
Yeah, but I don't know where from.
Yeah.
He was Mad Eye Moody in the Harry Potter films. He's like
That's
my favorite
right.
character.
Okay.
Oh.
Harry Potter. Huh.
I only saw the Harry Potter movies once each, so
Well, you know, guys, I'm sorry to admit this and to burst everyone's bubble out there, but I absolutely have a disdain for Harry Potter because for those fucking books in 1997, and I was given those books, and when I opened those books and they started talking about brimstone and Hogwarts and all of that shit, I had to put it down. It was like just like someone please just bring me Lion Witch in the Wardrobe, please. Ugh.
I wasn't into it, but then when the fourth movie came out, my buddy Joe was like, you gotta watch this movie. You gotta first watch the first three." So we sat me down, we watched the first three, and I liked them enough. And then I saw the fourth one, and I liked it so much, I went and actually read all the books, and I loved it, and I watched all the movies.
But one can counter and say, how do you like, Star Wars and don't like Harry Potter? I mean, I can name a million reasons, but
I like Star Wars.
They're two different things.
oh God, yes, they're two different.
Yeah.
Who's Harry Potter?
Exactly.
He's my pet pig, Harry Plopper.
I look, and everyone was so excited about that, like to do like whatever Harry Potter like coming back or whatever, and I'm just like, God, I'm still trying to like get interested in the first damn book.
That, I don't know. Anyway,
that missed me, guys. It really did.
I never read the books. I did eventually end up seeing the movies because once this topic started to get darker and more grown up, I started, catching clips of the movies here and there, and I was like, oh, that looks kind of cool, actually. But
yeah, by the last movie, it's really dark. It's really good. But we're on a tangent here, so let's continue. Oliver Platt was in this. He plays the Hector Sear.
Oh my God,
the crocodile hunter.
Oh my God, what?
He was part of the Brat Pack, right? He was with Julia Roberts and the Emilio Estevez and Charlie Sheen and those guys.
But I love Oliver Platt, dude. How can you not love Oliver Platt? I don't
always think of Flatliners.
Flatliners, yeah.
Yeah.
He's got like, and I don't know if they always write like that for him, but I feel like there's got to be a hint of truth in how he's always portrayed in these movies. Like he is like so fucking funny. Like he's like, you want to hate him, but you can't help to, laugh at him because what he says is like just so spot on, like everywhere in the movie. And there's that scene where he goes, "Oh, hey, could you leave her? We were thinking of mating."
All right, so let's talk about what was the what the fuck ending that you wanted us to see, Dantes.
So I think for me, the what the fuck ending was just assuming that, it stopped at like two alligators, when, the diver entered that cave, there was at least like to my mind, like four eggs that I could see. So, when he shot the one, there was two. So that meant that there were still two other eggs, there. So the lake is still filled with crocodile.
Apparently.
Not over. There was a sequel.
There was.
That sequel.
John Schneider's in that. I can't recall if I actually saw that.
I don't know. It just kind of felt a little. I don't know. It sort of felt a little Sharknado-y on the second one. There, I sort of turned it off halfway through, but yeah.
So I looked at my wife at the end. I'm like, I really don't see a totally fucked up ending aside from all the baby crocodiles that Betty White was feeding at the end.
Yeah.
Oh shit! And she goes, no, the fucked up part is the fact that they didn't kill the monster; they captured it.
Yes.
Goes, when does that ever happen in a horror movie? I'm like, you're right.
It's
kind of fucked up.
And then we thought there was only one all the way up until the end, and then all of a sudden another one jumps out of the water, and everybody's ah. It's like they were like, well, we're not going to have him actually shoot and blow up the first one because you got this compassionate thing where he's tranquilized and he's trapped in the helicopter and there's nothing else he can do. So we got to have another one pop up so we can shoot it.
And boy, did they shoot it.
Yes. Just stop messing with.
Oh my God. So yeah, this was it was a good monster movie. I thought it was just fun. It's like you don't necessarily have to go through the whole plot because it's basically a crocodile killing people and they have to try and stop it. And then
Jaws in a lake.
Whole conflict of should they kill it or should they capture it? And then what was it? Bill Pullman's character was part of the wildlife, not the Wildlife Federation, but like fishing game or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the law.
Yeah. And but then he called in more people to come in and take over. And so that's when they were sort of like, all right, they kind of talked him into trying to get it alive if they could, and if not, you would what's his name, Mad Eye Moody would blow it away with that
Yeah.
awesome gun he
Yeah.
had. Which I was like, kill the fucking thing, it's eating people.
I
What-
know.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
capture it? No.
What are you gonna do? Yeah, you're gonna capture it. Then what?
Right.
And I also picked it because I thought it just sort of it still sort of captures like that hysteria that that most people get when you see something in your fucking backyard that don't belong there, like a crocodile, because we just think that we're at the top of the food chain, and that everything we do as humans often doesn't have impact. But I feel like this movie sort of shows like what happens like when humans sort of you get what I'm saying.
Yes. I love too when Oliver Platt, like someone says, how did it get here? He's like, well, some guy in China flushed it down the toilet.
They conceal information like that in books.
Yes.
That's what he says.
God, he was like that great, lovable, smart ass like friend like that you would probably want to like beat up.
Yeah. So for some reason, the thing is telling me that my resources are low. So if we start to stutter, then that's why. Yeah.
Ah, we're gonna have to take up a collection for you.
Yeah.
Your resources are low.
I'll try and cheer them up while we all right. So let's do our final thoughts on this on Lake Placid from 1999. Dantes.
It's a good movie. I would recommend maybe looking at it twice, because you might catch some stuff that you didn't miss because you're paying attention to all the legs, arms, and intestines that are being thrown around. I would not let your kids watch it unless you're like a really, really cool parent and you don't mind like intestines and arms being everywhere.
Well, there
But
was no sex in the movie, just gore.
no, but it was still it was still shocking, even like by today's standards. Like when I turned it on, I forgot that like he was getting ready to get like his torso ripped off. Like I was still like, like. But I enjoyed it. It's a good horror film. And I feel like it's one though that you can snuggle up with, pop some popcorn, and it's very lighthearted too. So
Nice. Michael.
I love any movie with a big monster. And I wouldn't say this is like one of my favorite movies, because I wouldn't say it's like amazing, but it's very entertaining. It's like what Dante said. It's lighthearted, but it's also gory and a little bit scary. It's not even so much scary.
no.
A little bit scary, not too much scary, but yeah, I love it. I love monster movies, and this is another one for that category. So
Awesome. Bill.
It's a great eco horror film, monsters attacking people and monster animals attacking people. Our other gator and croc movies that we've gotten, Alligator, the Thai import Crocodile, those are just like from the early 80s. And then there's Killer Gators and Frogs from 1972. More recently, there was a movie called Crawl. I think it was 2019.
yeah, I haven't seen that yet.
That was very good.
It was pretty good. Yeah, I went to
There's
see
another
it.
one too.
Yeah, I think they're doing a sequel.
The girl and her father stuck in the underneath the house, and the hurricanes coming in.
Really.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, I want
really.
to see that.
So
Yeah.
I like this genre. Lake Placid was one of the better movies in this kind of genre.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, have we done Day of the Animals? I don't think we've done that one.
I don't think so.
Oh, we're
Mm-mm.
gonna have to do that one because that's one of my
That would be cool.
Christopher George and Linda Day George.
Yes.
Saving the Ozone.
Oh my god. And Leslie Nielsen, don't forget Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah,
Wrestling a Bear.
Yeah, I recommend this movie. Like Michael said, like everyone said, it's a great monster movie. It's not a great movie, but it's a fun monster movie, and it's a fun watch. I thought I had some scares, but I jump at my own shadow. So
You are nervous.
yeah, so definitely I highly recommend this. So why don't we take a quick 5-minute break here? And
Okay.
when we come back, we will talk. We will discuss "No One Will Save You" from 2023 and "Malignant" from 2021.
I'm
Right
about to
on.
get malignant up in here.
Malignant in your ass. Okay, I'm back. Michael is back.
Yo, 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 yo.
Yo.
Back sort of.
Oh man, I moved. Okay, good. So folks, just a reminder, if you could hit a like on our Facebook group, our Facebook page, I should say, as well as our YouTube page, that'd be awesome. And on YouTube, don't forget to hit that little bell at the top there. That'll give you alerts every time we're live or we put up any other videos, which we will be doing soon. So as we wait for Bill, so Dantes, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Mike Hale and I were talking when I finally get moved into my new house completely and we get everything set up. I'd like to do maybe like a live stream or something with the four of us. And I'll do it probably through my phone, and then that way I can take the camera around and show everybody what it looks like.
That would be cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah, it'll be
I think
fun.
it'd be
And you guys
great.
can ask questions too when you see weird things because it's a weird house. I can't even describe it to you.
House, which makes it perfect for Roger.
I told you it's the Brady Bunch house. So I wanted to redo the countertops in orange, but my wife wouldn't let me.
Oh my gosh, orange. Ooh, Halloween. I love it.
Well, like the Brady Bunch. We ran a movie theater in Rochester, New Hampshire back in 2016. And that was one of the things I did. I had an awesome, it's this 50s retro style orange countertop with like boomerang pattern on it. It was really cool. Oh, and I see Bill is back.
Hi.
Excellent. All right. So we're going to talk about No One Will Save You from 2023. And the synopsis is: an exiled, anxiety-ridden homebody must battle an alien who's found its way into her home. So, Mike Hill, this was your pick.
This
So
was
first
my
impression-
pick.
Yeah, when did you first see it?
I first saw this about a month ago. And I watched it with my roommate at the time, and both of us at the end were just like, what the fuck just happened? It was like the beginning of the movie and the first like 2/3 of the movie, I'm fine with it. It's like, okay, she's got some trauma in her past and she's kind of a recluse, and there's not a lot of dialogue being spoken in this movie. There's hardly any dialogue being spoken in the movie until the very end or close to the end. But it's like, aliens come down and she's sort of like fighting against them, and then stuff happens and she accidentally kills one of them, and then more of them come down and she has to sort of escape and fight back and stuff. And I'm like, all right, this is cool. This is scary. I'm in. And then when I got to the end, I was just like, what in the hell? It just like turned into Wizard of Oz or something. I don't know what the story was, but yeah, weird.
Yeah. Based on your recommendation, obviously I watched it and I sat down with the wife and we were like about 10 minutes in, we're like, wait a minute, we've seen this movie. And like, no, we haven't. And yes, we haven't. Then as we started watching it, we were remembering things that were happening. We had watched it probably, I don't know, a few months ago. And so I'd forgotten about it. And it was great. I loved it. I love the fact there was no dialogue, especially for modern audiences. They're not used to stuff like that. But like a film like this, and what's that other one? Where you have to hide from the monsters because they can.
Quiet Place.
Quiet Place. Yeah.
Quiet Place, yes, like that. I just saw the most recent one in the theater too. That was really good. But I like
Oh,
that
I loved it too.
it challenges modern film goers because they're not used to creative things like this.
Yeah.
I think there's only
For
5
sure.
lines of dialogue in it, or 5 words even spoken, I think. But and the ending, yeah, I was still left puzzled myself. I read the synopsis, so I can go over that later, but I thought it was a fun ride. But Bill, had you seen this one before?
No, I just watched it after I found out we were doing the show. So yeah, I mean it was okay. I talk bad about modern horror movies and modern movies in general, but it's I'm just kind of kidding when I say that stuff. I liked it. I thought it was well done. I liked that it was challenging because there was no dialogue. In fact, it's not the kind of movie you can like put on in the background.
No.
Like you can't look away from it because there's nothing to look away, and you're not going to have any contact at all with the film.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, it forces you to pay attention.
Nice. Dantes?
Yeah, this was my first time watching this and hearing about it, and I really honestly sort of was like thinking about like the films from like the 20s and stuff where, they didn't really have a lot of dialogue and it was just, the actors just doing the best job that they can to try and convey the message of, the film. But definitely a what the fuck film for me, just because like I didn't realize that the aliens were supposed to be like these benevolent, saviors who have, come here to, save us from this dying, dooming, planet. And what do we do as we fucking kill them? And like, and that's just so like the human thing to do, right? Like, oh, they're bigger than us. They've come to invade. Surely, let us kill these people before we figure out what the fuck they've come to tell us.
Yeah, that's, shoot first, ask questions later.
Right, right. That's like the universal human theme, I feel like, in this film is, I don't know. It's kind of hard to accept that that's how we are, but yeah, good film though.
Yeah.
An intrusion is an intrusion. It doesn't matter that that they were benevolent, that they were not invited here and they showed up. Who knows what kind of trouble they could have gotten us into by coming to our planet? They could bring a virus with them that killed us. There's lots of variables. How dare they?
Yeah. So this was directed by Brian Duffield, who also produced Cocaine Bear.
Okay.
Movie. And he's got a few others. He's got one actually, an upcoming film he's directing. It's about Bill's dog. It's called Vivian Hasn't Been Herself Lately.
That's fun.
But yeah, this was I didn't really I looked into the cast and I didn't really recognize anybody from anything. I think the main chick, Caitlin Dever, the thing she was on the longest was the TV show Last Man Standing. She was on the most episodes of all the TV shows she's done.
Yeah, I felt like I had seen her in something, but I couldn't place what.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it seemed so scary in the beginning, and I loved the whole beginning part was just fucking fantastic to me because she was trying to figure out what the hell was going on, and there was something there, and she had to figure, hide from it, and then it was so cool, and I think what they wanted to do is make you think a certain thing up to a certain point, and then flip the whole thing on its head. I was fine up until the point at which one of the aliens had her like levitating. He was like holding her up with telekinesis or something, and he like released this little plant bud or something with all these little vines or tendrils or leaves or whatever the fuck, and it went into her mouth, and then she started like envisioning all this crazy shit, like her and her friend from past years, and she wants to talk to her again and say she's sorry, and it was like, okay, then now suddenly she's able to do that because the aliens allowed her to do that, and that solves the problem, and then at the end, everybody just started like dancing and singing like we're in West Side Story, and I was just like, what the fuck is what the I mean, that I think I texted you guys right after watching it. I watched it and the ending, and my roommate and I were like, what the hell was that? And then I wrote, we should do an episode about what the fuck endings. Because that was just I analyzed it, I tried, but I couldn't figure out what the hell that ending had to do with the rest of the movie.
Well, I looked it up on the plot description on Wikipedia is a lot more detailed, and it actually made it finally make sense. And I'll read it in a second. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but that thing that the alien stuck in her mouth was a parasite. And that's how they were taking over the people, was the parasites were getting inside of them. And it says here, this is towards the end of the film, flying saucer arrives and transforms the parasite into a doppelganger of Bryn, which pursues the real Bryn into the woods. The doppelganger catches Bryn and stabs her, but Bryn kills it with a box cutter and escapes to a deserted road. She encounters a gigantic alien, which I thought was fucked up. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Before being sucked into a flying saucer, where she's psychically probed by a group of aliens, revealing the event that turned the town against her, because the whole town didn't like her. It was during an argument she had with Maud when they were both children. Maud knocked Bryn to the ground, and Bryn struck her with a rock and killed her. The aliens converse with one another and appear to agree on a course of action. They return Bryn to the deserted road unharmed and free of their parasitic influence. Bryn rebuilds her home and discovers that the other residents remained under the control of the parasites. But they now treat her kindly, and since she's finally overcome her trauma, she can live a normal life. In the sky, numerous flying saucers are seen stretching off into the horizon. So clearly they've invaded and have successfully taken over.
Yeah, that was so weird. Like they just made everybody like happy and brainless, and
Yeah,
I was like, "What the hell?" That's too confusing for me.
Well, the obvious parallel is Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
I was just getting ready to say that. Yeah.
And Robert Heinlein's The Puppet Masters also comes to mind.
I love the Puppet Masters. Classic.
But in Body Snatchers, the original was killed in this, and the other one was replicated. Is that what happened in this one? Because they fought each other in the woods. She fought herself in the woods.
Well, there was a doppelganger of her, so I really don't understand how that happened.
Yeah.
Or why.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's to get people like us talking about it. And
probably. Yeah. You gotta see this movie. It doesn't make any sense. Okay.
And I have to say, going into it, even when I recall back to the first time we watched it and reading what the premise was, I was like, how can an alien chasing a chick around her house sustain for an hour and a half, 2 hour movie, however long it is? But it worked. They managed to do it,
Yeah.
Like she sets the whole thing up where she puts the boiling pot. Was it more than one pot of water on the stove?
Yeah.
Had it ready to go as a weapon. That was cool.
That was very smart. And she like nailed things shut and did all kinds of stuff. And then the nails were coming out one by one.
Yeah.
But there was that point where she was coming down the stairs. I'm not sure exactly when this was. If this was before she had the fight and accidentally killed one of them. She was coming down the stairs and then something ran by, like there was something in the house, like then she keeps going down the stairs to see what's going on. I'm like, I would have been back up in my bedroom under my covers with the door locked. Whatever the hell I just heard running by, I don't want any part of it. There would have been no movie if that was about me.
Roll credits.
Yeah, that's it. I'm gonna hide in my bed.
They were supposed to make Chuck Norris versus Predator, but they decided not to because nobody would watch a 15-second movie.
15 seconds. Wow,
it could still happen.
So, Michael, this was your pick. So, what's your final thoughts on No One Will Save You?
I think the what the fuck ending irritated me so much that I won't watch it again. I did like the whole beginning, but it's like two different movies to me. Like I like the first half, but the second half just gets too confusing, and then by the end, I really don't know what the hell's going on. So, it's if you're into mind benders, I would recommend it, but otherwise, I don't know. I don't see myself watching it again.
I'd say cut it off before we get to the ending.
Say that again.
I'd say cut it off before you get to the ending.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. When you get to the point where the parasite goes into her mouth, just shut it off.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good. A little bit derivative, but that's okay. I'll probably never watch it again, but it was enjoyable while I was watching it. It was challenging.
Yeah.
That's my word for, and no one will save you.
Right.
That's probably the thing about the fact that there's no dialogue. I mean, like if you're interested in films in general and you want to watch a movie and see how they get through telling a story with no dialogue, that's probably the most interesting part of it, I would say. To like, if you're interested in that kind of thing, definitely check it out because it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that reminded me of I think it was issue 50 or 51 of G.I. Joe, and it was Snake Eyes was the main character throughout the whole thing. And since he doesn't talk, there was no dialogue through the whole, and that was a big deal when it came out. They're like, oh, it's a whole issue, but no dialogue,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
I think that, that's offbeat enough that people should check it out on that premise alone. And I agree too. I probably won't watch it again.
Yeah.
But it's definitely good and definitely worth checking out, especially if you're looking for something different. So, all right. So we're gonna finish off here with our fourth film, *Malignant* from 2021. Madison is paralyzed by shocking visions of grisly murders, and her torment worsens as she discovers that these waking dreams are in fact terrifying realities. So this was my pick. I don't know when did this come out, 2021. So that when it came out, the wife and I had gone, we watched a horror movie in the theater. I forgot what it was. We came home and we're like, oh, let's watch something else. Let's watch another one. And this happened to had like premiered that night. I'm like, oh, there's this movie I heard about. And so we watched it, and it just gets fucking batshit crazy. And I loved it. I was
Yeah.
blown away by it. I was telling everybody, you've got to see *Malignant*. I wouldn't even tell them what it was about. It was just so fucked up. And I would definitely watch this again. Um, Bill, had you seen this one before?
No, this was another new one for me.
And what'd you think?
What you think?
It was disturbing. I mean, I kind of you can kind of see where it's going, because I've seen that in other movies too, believe it or not. Uh, the idea of a conjoined or a parasitic twin that's been done before, but it's kind of like a pull the rug out from under you moment in this movie. And I don't know, it took me into an uncomfortable place. I don't know. I feel like I shouldn't talk more about it right now. I should.
Okay.
This is the soundbite portion of the segment. I forget.
Dantes?
It is a very disgusting fucking film. Like, let's just say what it is. Like, I mean, it's really fucking gross. Like, the fact that every time after a murder happens, like, this gal's head is bleeding is just like, like, and you see the blood like on the pillow and everywhere else. It's just really, really disgusting, and it's like so disgusting it is uncomfortable to watch. Like, the storyline is pretty redundant. Like Bill said, again, another treehouse of, terror reference from me, but I've seen Bart, and Lisa go through this. And yeah, just really disgusting, honestly. Like, really disgusting. The script was good. They spent a lot of time, I feel like, on the effects. It was a little confusing at times when the murders would happen and the room would shift to change to the location that, the murderer was happening. I mean, the murder was happening in. But other than that, like, I loved it. This was my second time watching it. I think this time it was probably a little bit more disturbing for me because I hadn't seen it in a long time. So yeah.
Michael.
I love this movie. This movie was so like twisted and bizarre and like
Very.
ridiculous and gory and nasty, and like the supernatural stuff and the over the top music and the him talking through the electronics and I love this movie. I'm gonna watch it again and again. I this is like a new discovery for me. I really enjoyed this.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I
Right.
agree. And it was directed, of course, by James Wan. That was part of why I wanted to see it. And he directed Saw. And I think he did the original Saw short as well. And he's done like the Insidious Chapter 2 and The Conjuring 2. And he's got his hands in all kinds of stuff. He even directed Aquaman.
Okay.
And he's produced
Right.
shit out of tons of movies. So in fact, he's producing the Salem's Lot remake, which may or may not be
And I
good.
hope they do that with care.
Yeah.
It's never going to come out. Apparently, isn't it done?
I don't know. I didn't really get a chance to look into that.
Yeah, it's probably in development hell.
I have that on DVD. I'm so happy. I just bought it.
Nice. So I didn't really get into the credits too much, except I did recognize one actor in this. I don't know if you ever watched that old Bruce Campbell show, The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. The guy that was his sort of stuck with him as a partner, Socrates Poole, was played by Christian Clemenson. And he was in this, he was Dr. Victor Fields. He was the older blonde dude that gets stabbed in the bed with his head
Okay.
torn open.
Yeah,
because I'm watching it going, wait a minute, that's Socrates. What the hell?
The main woman who played Madison, I'd seen her before, but I don't know where.
I can look that up real quick. The other thing he was in that I remembered him from was Fisher King. He was Edwin, the guy that the radio disc jockey, what's his name?
Oh,
Makes fun of him on the air, and he goes and blows away a whole bunch of people and kills
Yeah.
Robert Williams' wife and sets into motion the whole thing. All right, so Annabelle Wallace plays Madison in this, and she is known for, well, The Mummy, and she was in Annabelle. Oh, I didn't remember. She played Mia in Annabelle.
Yeah.
Had a bit part in X-Men First Class. Oh, she was in the 2017 Mummy. That's the Tom Cruise Mummy.
Yeah, the god awful.
Oh, I saw that one. Okay, that must be where I remember it from. Okay.
I think the only people that like that film are my girlfriend and maybe one critic in China.
I liked it.
I gotta say though, the fight between Russell Crowe, the whole Mr. Hyde thing with Russell Crowe, I liked that. I
Yeah,
thought
that would have been
was good.
cool though. Like, had they been able to follow through with their like universal
Universe, yeah.
universe, but every time they get started with that shit, they always drop the ball.
Yeah.
Do I need to talk about the Wolfman? Jesus. Ugh.
And the Dracula. No, I like the Wolfman.
Yeah, I did.
I like the Benicio del Toro Wolfman.
Did you?
I thought
Could
that
you
was-
look, Bill? Did you believe Benicio del Toro as an Englishman? Please, I know. Come on, Bill. No, you didn't, right?
Well, I was happy to see him regardless, but yeah, it was pushing it.
Thank you. Ah,
It was like Keanu Reeves and
You guys too got the same stupid problems with stuff.
it was like Keanu Reeves and Bram Stoker's Dracula.
yes, total miscasting. With my California accent, I'm gonna go surfing down these hills now.
Oh man. This had some great shots. Like there's one whole sequence, I think it's the one you mentioned, Michael, where she's trying to board up the house and the camera is looking down at her through every room, following her through the whole house. I don't know how they did it, but that was a really great shot.
Wait, did you just jump back to the previous movie? Who's boarding up the house?
In Malignant.
No, was
In
it
Malignant.
Yeah.
She was boarding up the house in Malignant?
And she changed the locks, and remember her sister
Oh,
came
that.
she couldn't
Yeah.
get in. Yeah.
That's right. You're right. I'm sorry. Yes. For a second, I like flashed back to the like you're talking about her nailing up the windows and stuff, and I thought I went back to the Alien movie, but okay.
I'm like, did I write these notes in the wrong section?
No. But that was good. I was glad that she did that. And then, her sister, she's like, I put deadbolts in. The sister was like, smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was that whole thing too, where there was the character giving tours to the Seattle Underground. That's a real thing. I didn't realize that was real.
Yeah.
There's a network of
It never really looks like it does in real life, though. Movies always want to like jazz it up and make it seem more exciting than it really is.
Yeah.
I think it's only a couple of blocks in Seattle, and in case you don't know what the Seattle Underground is, it's at some point the street level in Seattle changed, and what used to be the second story of the building was now street level. So some of the old buildings are still under there, like it looks like it's the main street underneath the sidewalk, and I think there's only like 2 blocks you can walk that are like that, and then the rest of it is just untravelable. But you can they take you down there, and they give tours to the ones that you can access.
Oh, that's cool.
I don't know.
Bizarre.
There have been movies made about it too, like the second Night Stalker movie had a climax that took place in the Seattle Underground, and they made it look like it was just this fantasy land. It looked like that movie Mimic with the bugs that were living under the ground.
Yeah.
It's
I gotta
not
watch that
exciting.
again. It's been a long time since I saw that.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in a while too. Did you guys notice the giant neon sign that was prevalent?
Yeah, Silver Cup.
Silver, yeah.
Reminds me of Highlander.
That's right.
Yeah.
Silver
As soon
Cup.
as I saw it, I was like, oh, there could be only one.
Yeah. Which, in Highlander, that was in New York.
Oh, that's right.
I looked
Yeah.
it up, and according to Fangoria, James Wan has a deep love for Russell Mulcahy movies, and he's got a few nods to Russell Mulcahy in this. Russell Mulcahy, of course, directed Highlander, and the big one was the using the Silver Cut production sign when they were shooting, which obviously was a reference to Highlander. Um, and he definitely he was a huge fan of Russell Mulcahy, so I thought that was kind of cool.
Cool.
But the whole reveal, so folks, if you have not seen Malignant, you really ought to. I think I watched it on Max. I don't know how you guys watched it.
Just don't
But-
eat pasta while you're watching it.
yes.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like the first 2/3 or the first 2/3 of the film, you're going, okay, what the fuck's going on? I don't quite understand it. She's having these visions, she's leading the cops to the killers, and then she gets arrested. And then there's this whole scene as her sister and her mother are sort of watching this video of her when she was a kid. Spoiler alert, there's this parasitic, like Bill described, a parasitic Siamese twin on the back of her head.
Yeah.
And it was doing things like the doctor would hold up the card with a picture on it, and of course her back is facing it, but she could read the card because they shared the brain, and they were conjoined at the brain. I guess that was the big deal. And so the doctors basically cut off the Siamese twin and shoved the rest of it down into her head,
Yeah.
which was fucking awesome.
That's what happened in the Dark Half too. That's the first movie that I could think of.
Oh, really?
That comes to mind. Well, it was a book first, but
Yeah.
Stephen King wrote a book called The Dark Half, where it's that very plot, where there's like a killer, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, it's the conjoined twin that used to be in this guy's body. And this is what I was going to say earlier. I was afraid I'd ramble on too long about it, but this is very uncomfortable for me because these kinds of cases do exist in real life. I mean, this is not it's made up the way it appears in the movie, and most people who are born with this affliction don't survive birth. There's most fetuses that end up becoming, well, one of them is a parasitic twin, they don't survive birth. There have been cases where they have, though, and they've only lived maybe a couple of years. But there's different levels of this, and another thing that comes to mind is that there's those conjoined twins, two young ladies. I can't remember their names, but they're teenagers now, or they're like in their early 20s. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
No.
I tend to avoid that sort of thing.
No, they're conjoined twins. They share a body. They have separate head and shoulders, but like their body is they share, like they only have one arm each and one leg each, and they exist like this, and they can drive. Like the two of them have to work together to drive a car, but they can do it.
Wow.
And this is sort of like, groundbreaking, because there's been a lot of study about them, because, they've existed for a long time now. Usually they don't, like I said, the kids don't survive, but they did. And I think there's been studies where they've been able to share thoughts because they're joined sort of at the head. So like there is a bridge between their brains somehow. And that's pretty amazing. That's what this movie is getting at. Like Malignant gets at that, but it's obviously a much darker outcome than these girls who are like, living their life, and they went to high school, and they're one of them is like engaged to be married or is married. Wrap your head around that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. We'd like some privacy.
Yeah.
I always think of the guy with three heads on Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and the middle head's upset because the others won't brush his teeth.
Yeah.
Oh God.
But, yeah, this movie takes that. I didn't even realize that was a real thing, but I mean, I knew conjoined twins were real, but the sharing of the brain. But yeah. Well, so she's in this jail, in this holding cell with a bunch of other girls or ladies of the night who've been arrested for whatever crime they did, and
Ladies of the
gets
night.
batshit
Yeah,
crazy.
that's why I laughed.
Beating her, and
They just decide to kick the shit out of her because she doesn't look like she belongs there.
right. and the the head emerges, and that's the thing too that makes this movie a little bit more supernatural than it would obviously really be, because the Gabriel, the twin, attacks backwards.
Yeah.
Fucked
Yeah,
up. I mean, I'm
it's
And
thinking,
so fucked
it's like
up, but
this
I
is
it's so
love that.
gross.
yeah.
It just makes the movie more It's like when they came out with that special edition of The Exorcist,
Yeah.
and there was that extra shot of her crawling down the stairs, like with her
Yeah.
limbs backwards. Like that was creepy, but this just takes it to 11. This
Yeah. Oh
just
my gosh.
knocks
Yeah.
it out.
Totally.
And the whole every time there were fight scenes, I was just like, this is so awesomely over the top. I just loved it.
Especially that scene where um the twin was on the bed, like her back was on the bed, and she had I can't remember her name, but the lady was in the bed, and when she was stabbing that lady, it just looked so gross, and it looked like the twin was just like in pain as it was stabbing. Like
Yeah.
yeah. Oh God. Mm.
So if you want batshit crazy, because that's what I thought when I just, my jaw was on the floor the first time I saw it, and even watching it again this time around, I'd forgotten the impact it had on me. And I love films that are batshit crazy, and they're few and far between, but this is definitely one of them.
It's so fucking crazy. I love it though. I love the scene where she feels like it's like the twin is coming in the house or whatever, and it's beating up against the door, and the door flies open, and then she just hits the floor so hard. I'm like, damn, they're just really rough in this movie. Like,
Yeah.
Well,
And
it
it's
even
very
starts
weird because
off.
in the beginning it seems like it's two separate entities. Like she sees the shadow thing
yeah,
after he kills the husband, and it's like, oh my God, what's this thing? And then as time goes on, you realize, oh, her perceptions are fucked up because of the brain thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it starts off brutal with the husband abusing her and then slamming. She's pregnant, and he slams her into the wall, and it
Yeah.
was like, what?
yeah.
Really? Did we need to see that? But I guess we kind of
Yeah.
did in order to
Ah,
activate the back of her head and get the whole Gabriel thing going.
Yeah.
Um,
I think the
so
thing that inspired this movie was a specific case. It was this guy's Edward Mordake was his name, and this is sort of like, I don't know. It was supposedly a documented incident where this guy had another face on the back of his head, and the
Wow.
head on the face on the back of his head was female, and like when he would cry, it would laugh, and vice versa. These were all just claims, though. I mean, I don't think this was ever. I don't think it was possible to verify this. So it's kind of like considered an urban legend at this
hmm.
point. But I think that's where it was written about as true, and that there was this other, he called it his demon face, and that he begged his doctors to remove the demon face because it whispered evil things to him at night.
Wow.
And he committed suicide at age 23.
my God,
Wow.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
I guess James Wan was also influenced by a lot of Dario Argento films, which he cited like
Yeah.
Phenomena and Tenebra as his big influences. So yeah, so that was just I highly recommend it. It is totally whacked out modern film, very well done. Yeah, it does borrow from other films, which I hadn't actually thought of. I kind of totally forgot about the Dark Half, although I did see that in the theater. But when it gets to the last third, it just goes balls to the wall, batshit crazy, and I just
Yeah.
fucking
I just love it. There were so many things that were just like, I don't know, like while I was watching it, I kept thinking, like, this is the kind, if somebody had given me a ton of money when I was in high school and said, make a movie, like make a horror movie, this is the kind of like over the top, fucked up, twisted, super violent shit that I would have come up with, And like the voice and everything, like it's time to cut out the cancer. He's like talking through the electronics, and
Yeah.
I was just like, this is so fucking cool. And, I don't know. It was so wrong, but so perfect at the same time. I just loved it.
So do you recommend it?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody, but I'm so glad that I watched it, and I really plan on watching it again. several times as the years go on.
Nice. Bill, final thoughts?
Sure. Recommend it. Watch it. You'll love it. It will change your life. It'll make you look at every face a little different.
Oh
Like,
God.
is that really this person's face, or is their
Yeah.
real face on the other side of their head?
Right, right. Like that Billy Joel song. Do we share the masks that we wear with other people?
Yeah.
Don,
Yeah.
I enjoyed this movie. It's probably, in my opinion, probably the most creepy out of the four films that we've talked about tonight. This is definitely not one for the kids. It's
for sure.
definitely not one for the kids. If you let your kids watch this, like, they will probably wet the bed and have nightmares.
Scarred for life.
Oh,
Very,
for
very
sure.
scarred for life. I enjoy it.
sure.
I appreciate the subtle Japanese influences on the film. It makes me think that this is the movie that The Grudge intended to be 20 years ago.
Mm.
And the reason why I say that is because The Grudge sort of kind of captured that that spirit, but it didn't go all the way there, and maybe that's because it had Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Grudge
So
was a waste of time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it
watch the
was,
original.
because it's hard to watch that now. I'm like,
Yeah.
dang, this is what everybody was all up in arms about. Like, they don't show much of anything really. It's kind of like
Yeah.
a TV show to me, like a made for TV movie with Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Definitely watch the original in that case.
Yeah,
I'll have to watch that. Yeah.
Japanese
You are-
version. And what's
The Ring too.
The Ring. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The Ring, the original film called Ringu is a lot better.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Yeah, it
Oh,
cuts the crap, like I don't know. I thought The Ring was just sort of the basic idea is the same in both movies, but Ringu just like really gets to it, and it's got like this really kind of, it's a little bit more batshit crazy
Yeah.
than The Ring
Oh, and it's
because it's
1,000 times
Japanese,
scarier than the American versions.
or is it Korean or Japanese?
It's Japanese.
Japanese.
Yeah.
But there is a Korean version of it too. There's a Korean remake.
Oh, really?
I forget what that one's called. It's very confusing.
You know what this also reminded me of, and I'm trying to find it. What's that Sam Neill movie, Bill?
Possession.
Possession. Yes, that's the one. For
Sam Neill has done like a horror, like we're talking about the same Sam Neill thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jurassic Park.
He's done a horror film? No, get
He's
out.
done several. He was Omen in Omen 3.
Yeah.
He was Damien all grown
He's
up.
been around.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go. Yeah, tonight.
Possession is fucking crazy.
Yeah,
It's absolutely crazy.
that is also batshit crazy. Did we talk about that one already, Bill?
I mean, I talk about it all the time, so I don't remember if I ever talked about it here. Hardly a
It's
day
long.
goes by that I don't talk about Possession.
It's long, but it's well worth the journey. It's totally batshit crazy too. So
Batshit crazy. Whoever,
Well, that's
it's too bad we couldn't copyright that phrase because you'd make a shit ton of money. People say it all the time.
I know
A batshit
That
ton of
shit
money.
crazy. Yeah.
A batshit ton of money. A shit ton of money.
we need to put the batshit signal up in the sky.
A fuckload of money.
I think the thing that
Batshit
bothered me
signal.
the most about Possession was that like it didn't really make any sense, but by the end of it, I started to understand it. And
Yeah.
that upset me. I was like, oh my God, I think I understand this movie now.
All right,
Oh man.
All right, so Dantes, why don't you tell the folks where they can find you and your new album?
Yes, you guys, my brand new album, They Won't Go When I Go, is out now. Features collaborations with Ali's Music and legendary DJ Aaron Chase. Out now on all platforms. You can find me facebook.com/Dantes Alexander or instagram.com/Dantes Alexander. If you guys are searching on Spotify, Apple Music, it is just Dantes, not Prince Regent of EDM. It's just Dantes, because we have a lot of confusion about that. Some folks search for the Prince Regent of EDM, which that I am, but all of my recorded work is under Dantes.
Nice. And Bill?
Visit my Etsy shop, groovydoom.etsy.com. to purchase my print fanzine Drive-In Asylum. You can also get it. We just renewed our relationship with Strange Vice UK. So if you're watching this in the UK, all of our UK watchers, you can order directly from Strange Vice now and save some shipping. And also Forbidden Planet in New York. If you're in the New York area, pop in, say, hey, I'm looking for Drive-In Asylum. And Matt D will hook you up.
Awesome. And you can find me and all my blogs and shows at havenpodcasts.com. And
anybody who's watching or listening, leave us comments about what your what the fuck ending movies are.
Yes.
Give us some ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be real good.
Because I'm kind of curious what other people think.
Yeah, I was meant to mention that and I forgot. So thank you, Mike Hill. All right, folks. Well, I'm going to end this, and this time around, I'm going to end the live stream, but not end the meeting, because the last time I ended it the whole thing by accident.
That's okay. You have to ghost every once in a while, you know?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for joining us, folks. Take care.